If you grew up in the 1970s, you remember life before smartphones. Hitchhiking was just another way to get from one adventure to the next. Arthur Treacher's fish and chips was a weekend treat, and Tang made us feel like we were drinking right alongside the astronauts. This video takes you back to the fashions, flavors, and little moments that defined the decade. So let's dive into the memories. Back in the 70s, hitchhiking wasn't seen as dangerous. It was just another way to get where you were going. If you didn't have a car, no problem. More often than not, a friendly driver would slow down, roll down the window, and offer you a ride. You'd swap stories, share a laugh, and maybe make a new friend along the way. Gas was cheaper, people seemed more open, and there was a kind of unspoken trust between folks on the road. Today, it might sound risky, but back then, hitchhiking was a mix of freedom, adventure, and the simple belief that most people were good.
There's a secret here tonight, real good secret here tonight. Clap your hands and smack your lips for Arthur Treacher's original fish and chips.
For many of us, Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips was one of the most popular spots for a quick seafood meal. The moment you walked in, you could smell the crispy battered fish and thick-cut fries, often served with malt vinegar and those famous hush puppies. At its peak, there were over 800 locations across America. Families would stop in after errands or a day out, and it always felt like a little treat. Today, only one remains, holding on in Ohio. Even if you haven't tasted it in decades, just hearing the name can bring back that warm, mouth-watering memory. Walk into almost any home back then, and your feet would sink into a thick, fluffy shag rug. They showed up everywhere: living rooms, bedrooms, even the occasional bathroom. The colors were pure 70s, bold oranges, avocado greens, and golden yellows. They looked cozy, but cleaning them was another story. Pet hair, crumbs, and mystery bits disappeared deep into the pile. That's where the famous shag rake came in. Kids loved dragging it back and forth like they were grooming some giant furry creature. For a lot of us, that carpet wasn't just flooring, it was part of the heart of the home. In the 70s, kids couldn't get enough of wacky packages. These were trading cards and stickers that spoofed the everyday products we saw in the store, turning familiar brands into silly, often ridiculous names with funny artwork. You'd peel the stickers and slap them on school notebooks, lockers, or even your bedroom door. Part of the fun was seeing if your friends had the same ones, or trading to complete a set. They were cheap, easy to find at the corner store, and guaranteed a laugh. Even now, it's hard not to smile when you see one of those goofy, twisted brand names from our childhood. On those hot summer afternoons, the garden hose was more than just for watering the lawn. It was our fountain, our sprinkler, and sometimes our best toy. We'd take turns bending over to gulp that cool, slightly metallic-tasting water, wiping our mouths with the back of our hands before passing it to the next kid. And it never stopped there. Pretty soon someone would put a thumb over the end, sending a spray across the yard. In seconds, we'd all be running, shrieking, and getting soaked, turning an ordinary backyard into our own water park. Simple, free, and unforgettable.
Orange-flavored Tang, with rich, natural flavor and more vitamin C than orange juice.
Long before sports drinks filled the shelves, we had Tang, the bright orange powder you'd stir into a pitcher of water until it turned that unmistakable color. It wasn't just any drink. NASA had made it famous when astronauts took it into space, and suddenly every kid wanted a glass. The taste was sweet, tangy, and just a little artificial, but we loved it. Some kids even ate it dry, letting the powder fizz on their tongues like candy. Whether you drank it because you liked it or because it made you feel a little like an astronaut, Tang was a kitchen staple in the 70s. In most homes of the 70s, there was just one main phone, usually mounted on the kitchen wall or sitting in the living room. When it rang, you never knew who was calling, and privacy was almost impossible. If you were lucky enough to have two phones in the house, someone could quietly pick up the other one and hear every word. And in some areas, you even shared a party line with neighbors, which meant you could pick up and catch part of their conversation too. It was a time when every ring felt important, and answering the phone was just a little adventure of its own. Back in the 70s, television wasn't on 24 hours a day. Late at night, after the final program ended, stations would often play the national anthem. You'd see the flag waving, maybe a montage of mountains, small towns, and city skylines, while that familiar music filled the room. Then the screen would fade to a test pattern or static, and that was it. No more TV until morning. For many of us, that sound and those images are forever tied to the feeling of a long day coming to an end and a quieter, simpler time in broadcasting. In that time, it seemed like everyone was wearing bell-bottoms. From kids heading to school to rock stars on stage, those wide flared legs were everywhere. They swished when you walked, covered half your shoes, and sometimes even dragged on the ground. Denim was the most popular, but you could find them in corduroy, polyester, and wild patterns that matched the decade's bold style. Whether you paired them with platform shoes or a simple t-shirt, bell-bottoms had a way of making you feel just a little cooler. And looking back, nothing says 1970s fashion quite like that dramatic flare at the bottom.
The Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch.
Few TV shows captured the spirit of family life in that era like The Brady Bunch. Premiering in 1969, it told the story of a blended family with 6 kids, 2 parents, and 1 unforgettable housekeeper, Alice. Every episode was lighthearted, full of small problems, silly misunderstandings, and lessons neatly wrapped up by the closing credits. The bright clothes, groovy set design, and catchy theme song made it unforgettable. Sitting down to watch The Brady Bunch became a small ritual in many homes, a moment when the whole family could laugh together and escape into a cheerful, perfectly tidy version of family life. Walk into a kitchen or living room back then, and you'd see colors that didn't hold back: avocado green, banana yellow, and bright neon orange. These bold earth tones showed up on everything: furniture, appliances, clothes, even accessories. Designers swore they were warm and inviting, but they were also impossible to forget. They became part of everyday life and slipped into countless family photos. Spot that avocado green today, and it's like stepping right back into a time when style was fearless and color was everywhere. When Star Wars hit theaters in 1977, it didn't just change movies. It took over toy aisles across America. Kenner couldn't keep up with the demand. So, some kids got an early bird certificate at Christmas, promising the figures would come later. When they finally arrived, we lined them up: Luke, Leia, Han, Darth Vader, and reenacted every scene from the movie right there on the living room floor. Some of us carried our favorites in our pockets until the paint wore off. Those little plastic figures weren't just toys. They were a piece of the galaxy we could hold in our hands. Back then, some of the most popular stores came right to your home. Tupperware parties were part shopping trip, part neighborhood get-together, with friends gathered around the table, checking out the latest pastel bowls and airtight lids. Avon visits worked the same way. The Avon lady would stop by with her little case of perfumes and lipstick samples, and maybe even a new catalog for you to flip through. Maybe your mom or grandmother hosted these parties, or sold the products themselves. It wasn't just about buying things. It was a reason to sit, talk, and share a few laughs with people you knew. Step into a teen's bedroom in the 70s, and chances are you'd find a copy of Tiger Beat on the bed or tucked away nearby. This bright, photo-filled magazine featured the biggest teen idols of the time, along with interviews, song lyrics, and fold-out posters. For young fans, it was a direct link to the stars they loved. You might flip through it with friends, mark your favorite pictures, and tape them to the wall. Before social media, Tiger Beat was as close as you could get to having your favorite star right there with you, smiling from the page. Tab was one of the most recognizable diet sodas of its time. With its pink and white label and bold lettering, it stood out instantly on the store shelf. Introduced by Coca-Cola in the 60s, it quickly gained a loyal following, especially among women looking for a lighter alternative to regular cola. Looking back, the taste wasn't exactly amazing, a little odd, maybe even bitter, though some people really did love it. Even though it's been gone from most stores for years, just hearing the name can bring back memories of that one-of-a-kind flavor and the era when it was everywhere. Saturday Night Live burst onto TV screens in 1975, and it wasn't like anything we'd seen before. Live sketches, sharp political satire, and a cast of young comedians who'd soon become household names. Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd. The show mixed pop culture, music, and a bit of chaos in a way that made staying up late on Saturday night worth it. Even the opening line became an instant classic.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Candle-drip Chianti bottles were a staple of 1970s decor. You'd start with an empty Chianti wine bottle, stick in a candle, and let the melted wax slowly build up over weeks or months. Layer after layer of reds, blues, and yellows would drip down the sides, turning it into a colorful, one-of-a-kind piece. They often became the centerpiece of a cozy corner, glowing softly during family dinners or quiet evenings. And when the candle burned low, the bottle stood there like a little time capsule, holding on to the colors and moments of the years it had seen. Thanks for watching. I've got lots more nostalgic videos waiting for you here, each one packed with memories you might not have thought about in years. Hope you'll join me for the next one.